everybody, it's Pam from the Shoots with Roots program at Milner Gardens and Woodland. If you've been watching these virtual field trip videos, I hope you've been enjoying them, and I've noticed there have been some questions in the Facebook comments about not just the videos themselves, but nature in general. So I put out the call to some of the teachers that have been using this video and on our Facebook page as well. And so the topic of this week's final virtual field trip video is answering your nature questions. So I'm going to just go ahead and get comfortable at my house and answer some of your nature questions. Hi everybody, so I'm here at home and Jasper is here with me. Somebody had asked if you could see Jasper again. That was one of the questions, and for the person who also asked about training animals, the answer is, you know, if Jasper's up for it, he may be in this video. Not the right person to ask about animal training questions, but good luck with that. Yes. So I have a whole list of questions from kids right here, and I first want to say thank you to all of the teachers that helped collect these questions, and I'm just going to kind of go through these and see where we get. So question 1 from someone in Ms. Berger's class at Arrowview Elementary: how do flowers stay alive in a vase after they have been cut? That's a really good question. One of the reasons they can stay alive for a little while after they've been cut is because flowers have tubes inside of their stems that work kind of like a drinking straw that enables them to suck the water up out of the vase and keep themselves hydrated and fresh for a little while. They won't stay alive forever, but they do have the ability to get water. And you can actually do a really cool experiment to show how this happens. If you get a flower, I don't have a flower, and make sure it's a white flower, a chrysanthemum would work really well for this, and you get some water, and then you get some food coloring from your kitchen. What you're gonna do is take your water, take a drop of food coloring or two, and then put your white flower in your colored water, and what you'll see is that the color in the water will get drawn up into the flower because the flower is pulling the water up into itself. Question 2, how long do caterpillars stay in a cocoon? I had to use Google for this one because it depends on the kind of caterpillar. It's between 1 and 3 weeks. Somebody else asked me, how do you adopt a wild animal? And the answer is that you really shouldn't adopt a wild animal, but if you create lots of good habitat in your yard by making sure that you have food, water, and shelter that animals can use, plant lots of trees and other plants, maybe have an area of your garden that isn't fenced, then maybe you can convince a wild animal to adopt you. Definitely should not be adopting wild animals. There is a question from William about why do bears hibernate? Bears hibernate to save energy, and in parts of the world where they have really harsh winters with lots of snow and there's not much food around, if bears tried to stay awake all winter long, they wouldn't find enough food to do that and they might die. So they hibernate, they slow down their body, and that enables them to get through the winter until conditions get better in the spring. It's kind of not that dissimilar to why we've all been staying in our houses during the coronavirus. You just kind of gotta hunker down and wait it out until conditions get better. On Vancouver Island, we don't have super harsh winters, so a lot of our bears actually don't hibernate. And there was another bear question from Ren, who wanted to know about why a park near her house doesn't have any bears in it, wondering if it was because it didn't have the right berries or any holes. And you know what, Ren? You're on the right track. For a bear to be in a place, it has to have the kind of things that bears like. And one of the things that bears don't really like very much is people. So if that park near your house is small, you know, it's possible that a bear might move through it on its way to look for other things that it needs, like berries and holes to hide in. But a bear isn't going to hang out in a park for very long if there's lots of people around. It's just too scary for them. There was a question from Kingston about why do deers have antlers? This is an antler. It fell off of a deer's head. That's how you can tell it's an antler and not a horn, because it falls off. And you know, they're kind of a silly thing because it takes a lot of energy to make them, and then they fall off, and then they have to make new ones. They make them to show off to other deer and for fighting. It's kind of, they're a decoration, and basically they make them just to show off, like, hey look, I'm so healthy and awesome that I can waste energy by making antlers and still survive. So they're purely for showing off, and the males make them to show off for the girls, and that's why deer have antlers. All right, Tylen wanted to know why do slugs like gardens, and Mrs. Fletcher wanted to know why so many slugs like her garden. Now, in my garden, I've had a lot of these tiny little brown guys lately, and I think the reason we're seeing so many slugs right now is because we've had a really rainy and wet spring and early, well, it's still technically spring. It's been really rainy, and slugs like water. And that's one of the reasons that slugs like gardens, is because even when it's not raining, we usually water our gardens, which means our gardens are a safe place where slugs can go and still be like moist and stuff. They also like to eat our tasty plants. So slugs like gardens because there's a lot of the things that slugs like there, and especially because our gardens are usually moister and better watered than other parts of our yard. All right. We also had, from Jacob, why do some trees grow fruit and others don't? Now, this depends on what you're talking about when you say fruit, Jacob, because if you're a biologist, then the definition of a fruit is any product that a flower or a plant makes to hold a seed, which means technically those maple helicopters that we planted in September, if you came with your school, and Jacob, I know you did, are fruits. Anything that has a seed in it and is made by a tree is fruit. So these are technically fruits. An apple that you eat is a fruit, but technically a red pepper and a tomato, those are fruits too, if you go with the biological definition. We tend to just use that word fruit to mean like tasty, sweet things that we eat, like mangoes and nectarines and apples and that kind of thing. But technically anything that a plant makes with a seed in it is a fruit. So all trees do produce fruits. They're just not all fruits that we might want to eat. Okay. And we have one final question, and that question is also from Kingston, and that was, why do hummingbirds drink nectar? And hummingbirds drink nectar for energy. Kind of the same reason why adults drink coffee. They drink it for energy. Nectar is not the only thing that hummingbirds eat. They also eat insects, and I was looking up this online too, and apparently hummingbirds also might eat weird things like sand and ashes and pollen, and nobody knows why they eat those things. But the insects they eat for protein and stuff like that. So they drink the nectar and also other sugary things like tree sap, and there's even this stuff called honeydew that comes out of the bum of an insect called an aphid, and hummingbirds drink it. Yeah. So lots of sugary stuff for energy, insects for protein. So that's why they drink nectar. Whew! Those were some great questions, you guys. So thank you so much to everybody who submitted questions. Thank you so much to everybody who has shared these videos, to the teachers using them in your classroom. Good job. You're all doing a very good job. And I hope everybody has a really good summer. I hope you get outside and connect with nature in your backyard. Your challenge for the summer, go outside and play. I'll see you guys later. Bye.